Figuring out what you want to do with your life. It's got to be one of the biggest, most stressful decisions we ever have to make, right? But what if the goal isn't finding that one perfect answer? What if it's about building the right process for choosing? That's exactly what we're going to break down in this explainer, how to find your way through this incredibly tough decision.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. The whole conflict, the whole anxiety, it almost always starts in the same place. This massive pressure to pick a so-called safe career path, even when you have absolutely no idea what you actually want.
I mean, look at this quote from a student on Reddit. It just captures that feeling perfectly. Okay, so basically, I don't know what to do. My parents bolre he PCMB lelo because it is a safe option. Man, that one sentence just says it all, doesn't it? It's the pressure cookers so many young people find themselves in right now.
And let's be clear, this isn't just about feeling a little stressed out. The stakes here are incredibly high. The data is sobering. Family pressure and this intense competition are cited as major factors in the tragic number of student suicides. This decision carries real, serious weight.
So, if you're feeling this intense pressure, I want you to know you are not alone. And it's not just in your head. These feelings don't come out of nowhere. So, let's actually take a step back and look at the powerful external forces that make this decision so ridiculously difficult.
Let's run through the usual suspects, shall we? First up, you've got parental pressure. They just want a stable, respectable path for you. Then there's peer pressure, right? The fear of getting left behind if all your friends are picking one stream. Then you have the trend chasers, everyone piling into fields that seem popular, even if they're already totally flooded with graduates. And underneath it all is that unspoken weight of what society expects from you. It's a lot.
But here's the thing. It's not just about the outside world. Sometimes our own brains can be our own worst enemy, making these hard decisions even harder. So let's get into the 4 common mental traps that can seriously cloud our judgment when we're standing at this crossroads.
The first trap is what we call thinking narrowly. It's like you've got blinders on. You lock on to just one or two options, science or commerce, and you completely ignore the hundreds of other possibilities out there. You're framing the entire decision way too narrowly, which limits your potential before you even start.
And check this out. This comment is a perfect example. Someone on Reddit is explaining why PCMB gets pushed so hard. They say it's the safest option because someone with PCMB can get into any field. Now, on the surface, that sounds logical, but it's a classic case of narrow thinking. The goal isn't to find a path you'll actually love and be great at. The goal just becomes keeping doors open.
Okay, next up we have the sunk cost fallacy. You could also call this the trap of getting stuck. This is that little voice in your head that says, well, I've already spent 2 years studying for this, I can't quit now, even if you're absolutely miserable. Here's the thing. That time and effort are already gone. They are sunk, and letting them dictate your future is completely irrational. And you can literally feel the fear of this trap in comments like this one. Do anything, but don't make a mistake in stream selection. You will regret it. That terror of making a mistake and wasting all that investment, it creates so much pressure to just stick with a choice even if you know deep down it's the wrong one.
Trap number 3 is misjudging our chances. This is where we get a little overconfident. We tend to ignore the real-world statistics, the actual odds of success. We see the one person who made it big and think, yeah, that'll be me, without really considering the reality of how many people in that exact same field are actually struggling.
And the person who started that Reddit thread, they were already onto this. They wrote, "Everyone says become an engineer, it's the best, but I'm seeing that even after doing engineering, many are unemployed." See? They're noticing that the popular advice, the safe option, completely ignores the reality on the ground.
And the final trap is a big one, relying too much on your gut. This happens when we substitute the opinions of our friends and family, or even just our own vague feelings, for actual, hard evidence and research. We end up going with what feels right instead of doing the work to find out what is right.
The student who started the whole thread was falling right into this. They said, I saw that almost all my friends are taking science. My cousins, too, are mostly in science. They're letting the collective gut feeling of their social circle dictate their own life-changing options. It's incredibly common, but it's also incredibly risky.
So, okay, with all these outside pressures and these internal mental traps, how in the world are you supposed to make a good decision? Well, the good news is there is a way through all this. It's not about finding some magic answer. It's about adopting a clear strategic process.
And really, it boils down to a pretty straightforward 3-step process. First, you look inward to really understand what you're naturally good at. Second, you look outward to research what your options actually look like in the real world. And finally, you test the waters to get some hands-on experience before you commit to anything.
Now, when we look inward, this distinction right here is probably one of the most important things to get right. Your interests, the stuff you like, they can change all the time based on what you see on TV or what your friends are into. But your aptitudes, your innate natural abilities, they're much more stable, often solidifying around age 14. The key takeaway is to build your future on the solid foundation of your strengths, not just your shifting interests. All right, so for step 2, looking outward, your whole mission is to fight that thinking narrowly trap we talked about. So what does that actually look like? Well, first, broaden your options way beyond the obvious ones. Go talk to people in a ton of different fields, not just the 2 your family keeps mentioning. Research emerging careers you might have never even heard of. And seriously, consider talking to a professional career counselor. They have the tools to give you an unbiased, evidence-based view that you just can't get from your social circle. And that brings us to step 3, which might be the most powerful of all. Test the waters. And honestly, the single best way to do this is with an internship. I mean, reading about a job is one thing, but an internship lets you actually live it for a while. It's the ultimate reality check, a low-risk way to see if the day-to-day of a career actually fits you before you go all in.
Okay, let's zoom out for a second and see the big picture here. At the end of the day, this is all about taking back control of your future by first taking control of your decision-making process.
So if there's one thing you walk away with, it should be this. The goal isn't to find the one perfect or safe option that's going to solve everything, because that doesn't exist. The real goal is to develop a reliable process, looking in, looking out, and testing your ideas that you can use to make good choices again and again for the rest of your life.
And that kind of leads to a final thought I want to leave you with. We spend so much time trying to master subjects like physics or chemistry or economics. But what if the single most important skill we could ever learn for our career isn't a subject at all? What if it's simply learning how to choose well?